Welcome to the Speak For Yourself podcast featuring the best of Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. Fun Wednesday show for you ahead of the Sweet 16. Colin tells you why Cam Newton's MVP days are behind him. Whitlock has a bold claim that NBA players would entertain a pay cut to shorten the season. Plus, did LaVar Ball cross the line by talking about LeBron's kids? Spoiler alert, yes. I mean, is that not the most obvious? Like, what is LaVar Ball thinking? Remember, he started this whole thing out as, hey, I'm just talking about my kids, and I'm pumping up my kids and putting them on the radar. Then it's like, hey, I'm going after Charles Barkley. I'm going after Steph Curry. I'm going after LeBron's kids. Like, what are you doing? Go away. Time to bring in Cowherd and Whitlock. Take it away.
Hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and Super Bowl champ and longtime radio host Eric Davis. Let's start with LeBron James, who felt compelled to respond after LaVar Ball brought up LeBron's kids during a recent episode of Chris Broussard's In the Zone podcast. Here's what got LeBron fired up.
You got LeBron. It's going to be very hard for his kids because they're not going to look at him as LeBron's kids. They're going to be like, you better be just like your dad. And then after a while, that pressure starts sitting on you because it's like, wow, why I got to be like him? Why can't it just be me? And then they'd be like, oh, you're soft. You're not that good. Because the expectation is very, very high.
All right, needless to say, LeBron pretty upset, telling LaVar, quote, keep my kid's name out your mouth. Keep my family out your mouth. This is dad to dad. It's a problem now. Colin, did LaVar Ball cross the line mentioning LeBron's kids?
LeBron's kids are already famous. One's got a scholarship offer from Kentucky. They've got huge Instagram accounts. Listen, when you're the world's best blank basketball player, and you got kids and you got social media, this is the reality. In a few years, they're going to be playing for John Calipari, getting ripped by everybody. Like, I know there's a rule, don't talk about my kids, but when you're world famous and you have social media accounts, your kids are out there, your kids are talking. I could literally today tweet Jay-Z. The gap is closed between, when I was a kid, it was like Johnny Carson, public. The gap now is like I could tweet Jay-Z in 1 minute. So the gap is closed, and it's all part of this big social media circus.
Listen, I'm at a 72. I was at a 72% approval rating on LeBron. He just lost another couple of points here with me. He's down to 70% approval. Seriously. This is how I fight, because I'm mostly approval of LeBron, but he keeps doing things to nick away at this. When you talk about the Instagram accounts, it's LeBron's Instagram account. He's put his kids out there, the videos of them playing basketball. When you actually listen to what LaVar Ball said,
nothing.
Your kids are going to have great expectations put on them because they're LeBron James's kids. That's just factual.
By the way, that's probably been a topic on radio shows in the country. What would it? I remember talking about Michael Jordan's kids.
But why is LeBron wrong for telling this guy to stop talking about his kids and talking about his parenting skills? Because LaVar, but LaVar Ball is doing the exact same thing, telling everyone that I raised my kids to handle this pressure. Because everyone talks about he's putting so much pressure on his kids to perform, and he's saying my kids have always handled it. They will always be able to handle it because I raised them that way. He's basically just sat there and said LeBron kids won't be able to handle the pressure or the expectations because he can't do the same job that I do. That's why I don't have a problem with LeBron saying, just leave my kids alone, because you're calling the man out. That's exactly what he said.
In fairness to LeBron, and I don't know this for a fact, but I think it's very possible he didn't see or hear the whole quote.
That happens a lot.
He may have heard kids. Before that, LaVar Ball said that all these NBA legends, all their sons are whack. Somebody may have told LeBron, LaVar said your sons are whack, or your kid's gonna have a tougher time making the NBA than his kids. You know, so
would that have made it better?
No, but I'm saying that made it come off worse to LeBron. Because as you said, all he's saying is they're going to have some pressure on them because they're LeBron's kids, which LeBron has to know that.
But why is it okay for LaVar to say that my kids can handle the pressure? Yes, I'm going with my brand. I want $1 billion contract. I want all of these things. My kids can handle that pressure that I'm putting on them. But LeBron, yours can't.
I'm with you. I have no problem with LeBron saying this. As a parent, I don't want anybody that doesn't know my kids or me talking about them like they know them, unless you're praising them. Seriously.
Listen, if
Unless
you're trying to de-escalate the situation, though, because we all know the vernacular. That's why I said keep a name out your mouth. He didn't say mouth. He said M-O-U-F. Those are kind of fighting words. Those are agitating.
What's going to happen?
I'm not saying that, but he's escalating the situation other than what LeBron could have said was, hey, man, LaVar, I understand your passion for your kids, but I would prefer that you not bring my kids into a conversation about your kids.
And I would be much more comfortable with that.
Yes.
I mean, I got kids. But LeBron's kids, he's making them famous.
Yeah.
They're all over it. LeBron's probably got 25 million Instagram followers. His kids are on Instagram constantly.
Have they not been in commercials with him as well?
Why do I know what they look like? What do they sound like?
They have.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're throwing them out there and then somebody comments on it. I mean, let's be honest.
This would be like Kris Jenner complaining that her daughters are getting talked about.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah, nah,
He's got 20.
Not the same.
I'm
Stop
with LeBron. Like, the way he talked about him was kind of in the negative. You know, and the ironic thing is, like you said, he's putting more pressure on his kids than LeBron is.
That's why I don't have a problem. That's where I think where LaVar Ball crossed over. When he's basically saying, I can teach my kids how to handle it and you can't. That's what that comment.
I don't think
that's how that comment
LeBron
reads
read
to me.
it that deeply.
I think you make a good point. This happens a lot. You know, Rush Limbaugh always talks about the drive-by media. They don't listen to his show. They get a line. It's like this is one of those drive-by moments where LeBron probably just heard from a friend of a friend of a friend, and he did confuse your comments with LaVar Ball to this other thing said about Magic's kid and Kobe's kid.
Exactly. Look, Shaq, there was a meme that said Magic, Kareem, Shaq, all their kids are whack. Shaq called me and said, did he say this? LaVar Ball, did he say this? And I said, well, let me go back and listen to the podcast. I listened to the quote, sent it to Shaq. He didn't say that about Shaq's kids, but the meme made it look like he did, and Shaq was upset. He was as upset as LeBron. He said, you can talk about me, but don't bring my kids up.
Here's why I agree.
That's why I think...
Where I really agree. LaVar Ball is doing too much. I mean, he's just talking too much.
That's fair. To the growing controversy over players resting during the regular season, the issue has provoked a flurry of ideas about how to solve the problem, perhaps most notably shortening the NBA season, which Warriors coach Steve Kerr was asked about yesterday.
I wouldn't be opposed to it, even at the expense of my own salary, but it's something that everybody would have to agree to.
All right, Jason, realistic to think players would take a pay cut, shorten the season?
I actually think it is somewhat realistic. Let's say if they was agreed, we're going to cut 5% of the schedule, and that amounts to 3 or 4 games. I haven't done the math, but I think that's a possibility. I think the fact that Steve Kerr, having worked for TNT, knows all the players involved, I think this is headed towards a deal. I think this whole thing is somewhat orchestrated. ESPN's violent reaction and really outspoken reaction to these guys sitting out. I think this is headed towards a situation where we get to the offseason and there's a conversation about 4, 5, 6 less games and ESPN and TNT restructuring the contracts that are bleeding ESPN dry. Everybody's in agreement. ESPN signed a bad deal or a really expensive deal that's costing a lot of people their jobs. Maybe this is all being stirred the pot so the deals can be restructured, the TV contract.
I don't know if that's true. It does feel like it's being orchestrated at some level. Is LeBron engineering it? Our players, our coaches. Stan Van Gundy said today, he goes, I don't really understand it. It's all gotten easy. I mean, there is a stat out there. Sometimes in different cultures, life, business, a thing happens, and it gains momentum. It's a little bit of an avalanche. We got a thing going on. Multiple stars sitting out TV games. Look at a graph. Look at the number of did not plays this year. Okay, suddenly it is leaping up 10% of games missed, and they're non-injury games now, 5,500. That's a significant drive up, and it coincides with this new TV deal where networks are seeking more stars in big games to pay for the $1.4 billion deal. And it feels like I'm getting a pushback from, is it the Warriors in their travel schedule, who are playing twice the schedule the 72-win Bulls did? Is it LeBron getting in Dwayne Wade's ear saying, dude, they're not paying to see the coaches. or the announcers, they're paying for us. Something's being orchestrated. You think it's that. I think it may be LeBron. It's coming from somewhere.
I don't think players or owners want to take less money.
There you go.
And that if they can fill the arena for 82 games, whoever's out there, they want to do it. Now, I hope you're right, because personally, I would like to see a shorter season. 65 to 70 games would be great. Every game would mean more. I think we'd be more into it as fans. But I applaud Steve Kerr for being honest and saying, because he kind of pulled the skirt up off the players and the league. He's saying, look, they want 82-game money, but they don't want to play 82 games. So I love what Kerr said. I hope you're right that maybe this could happen, but I don't see it. I don't think the players or the owners will do it.
No one's giving back the money because the TV deal is the TV deal, correct? So
10 years starts this year.
And you can shorten the season, but guess what? You're still going to have to give the players a certain percentage of that TV deal. That's why you get your salary caps. You get all these things written out like that. The math is in place. What player is going to give back guaranteed money? They haven't made one.
If you do less work, what is 5% of $8 million?
That's 5% of your $8 million.
You're right, Jason. But look, to the players, for some reason, it matters. Because if I want to stay with this team and they're offering me $16 million, but they're offering me $17 million, I really don't want to go there, but I'll go because it's $1 more million. The players don't look at it like it's,
But if LeBron and the superstars are like, you know what? I want less games, and I'll take a little less money, I think they can force it upon the rest of the league.
This is the first year of this TV deal. Like, if you got into a marriage and the first year of the marriage is bad, let me tell you something. This is really bad. It's a real issue. It doesn't appear to be completely solvable. This is going to work. There's going to be major changes made, man. We're first year.
But this isn't just that's on ESPN. The league is fine.
Yeah,
the league's like, look, you owe us this money.
And the players don't have a problem.
ESPN's upset.
Yeah, the players don't have a problem sitting down. Players don't have a problem with this. They're going to get their money. And the owners still have those dates, and that's what you have to remember as well.
There's going to be a backlash.
But what happens when the broadcast partner is all over the league is going to have to do something. Because Adam Silver works for owners, and the owners hear it from the broadcast companies. There's got to be a bend here. We're not going to have 10 years of this.
There's not going to be a bend until they stop writing those checks.
Well, hold on.
And they're going to write those checks.
Hold for 1 second. Look at what the broadcast companies are doing that are footing the bill. Charles Barkley has called for a boycott. Fans.
That's incredible.
ESPN.
Announcers are crushing the league.
ESPN is stirring the pot for the boycott. They are putting major pressure on the NBA. I'm telling you, I think this is headed to some sort of compromise that works for everybody. The networks have signed bad deals. The players don't want to play that many games.
We've all worked in TV a long time.
Yeah.
I texted you the other day. I have never seen, and I don't blame ESPN and TNT, I've never seen a broadcast partner announcers go out of their way to crush their partner.
I agree with you on that.
I mean, it's bad.
But there's always been bad basketball. There are always bad teams, and that's just a part of it.
This is not about bad basketball. This is about the best players just not playing.
But there have always been best players not playing.
Yeah, but not like collectively.
No, not like this.
Well, now
Barkley is the voice of the NBA saying fans should boycott. That's a problem.
But the fans aren't going to boycott.
Well, no. I would argue they are boycotting. Look at the ratings. They're down 25%. They are boycotting. They're not turning the TV on.
Look, man, ticks and if it just goes down 1-2%, that costs people money.
It's down 20%. Welcome back, Super Bowl champ Eric Davis, joined now by NFL insider Peter Schrager. Let's move to the National Football League, where the Carolina Panthers revealed that Cam Newton will undergo surgery next week to repair a shoulder injury suffered toward the end of last year. While Cam is expected to be ready for training camp, the surgery could slow down his efforts to return to form after a major letdown of a season. Jason, are Cam's MVP days behind him?
I thought so before the injury. Now you add this injury into slowing an important offseason for him. He had a bad year. He needed to be all in on this offseason. Look, I'm blaming no one. They tried to rehabilitate the shoulder first. Now it has to go to surgery. This is a bad blow for Cam Newton in a very important offseason for him and head coach Ron Rivera. Yeah, I think his MVP days are done.
I think sometimes we confuse talent and dynamic for great. I've always used Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin has never proven to make teams or teammates better. In fact, he got hurt last year for the Clippers. They went on a 10-game winning streak. Chris Paul goes out, they lose games. There's a difference. Cam Newton, like Blake Griffin, is a transcendent talent. But if you look at the numbers I'm going to show you, these are his MVP year numbers. Those are his ranks. The metrics tell me he's not. This was his best year. He had a 10-game winning streak. They had, along with the Jets, the weakest schedule in the league. The division was rebuilding. Atlanta was rebuilding. Jameis Winston wasn't in there. New Orleans was a mess defensively. I've always liked Cam and Blake Griffin. They're fun to watch. But everybody keeps convincing me both are game changers. No, they're rich, handsome, stars, dynamic, and they don't make teams generally better.
Oh, well, he made that team better. And the numbers you just showed on Cam in his MVP season is the reason why his MVP days aren't over. That was his MVP year, okay? So you get the defense around him, then that is going to help in one aspect like it did. Short fields, they didn't have to score a lot of points. The defense scored a lot of points. All of those things help. But the thing that actually may help Cam Newton this year is he can't throw for a while, which is going to make him work on his lower body. Cam's issue in the pocket is that he is highly inconsistent with the lower half of his body.
Yes.
And that's what he's been needing to work on. And I've been saying this the last few years. Cam can get better, a lot better, just by working on the lower half of his body. Your quarterback, Alex Smith, that was his issue early on. And he got so much more accurate. He's such a better quarterback now because of that. Not being able to throw the ball may actually help Cam Newton right now, going through the motions of learning to be a quarterback.
You ever wondered certain players in the NBA, like Allen Iverson was great and didn't ever get a lot of great guys around him? Ted Ginn had a quote about, you ever notice why? Why doesn't Cam have better receivers? Ted Ginn had a quote this year, and he said, I want to go play with Drew Brees because he'll extend my career. I think a lot of receivers see
Teddy can extend his own career just by holding on to the ones that come to him.
Ted Ginn has thrown a beautiful pass against Atlanta and dropped it, and it cost him games.
By the way, Golden Tate's like, yeah, I'll go play for Matt Stafford. A lot of receivers, perimeter guys, are like, how do I extend my career and get another contract?
Great player, yeah.
A lot of them see Cam as about Cam.
I look at Julius Peppers going back and signing with them. Captain Munnerlyn going to sign with them. That defense last year had no Luke Kuechly. They were atrocious on defense. Julio Jones put up 300 yards against that defensive backfield. And look at Josh Norman's situation. They never quite replaced him with that. So Cam was always fighting an uphill battle. You add in the injury. I thought last year was a down year, but I still think Cam Newton is almost like an alien. There's never been a quarterback like him. So we immediately say there's no precedent. Okay, it's going to be a downhill. There's no way you could be as physical as that as you get older in your career. But asking around the league, I think a lot of offensive coordinators would still say, give me Cam Newton, I'll work with him, we'll find a way to work. Just the physical presence and the physical ability alone.
Here's where you may be wrong in that Carolina blue tie.
Someone had to wear it.
This shoulder injury, I don't think he's going to be running as much. And I don't think Colin put the running stats up there. That's what made Cam the MVP.
Well, in his MVP year, he had 10 running touchdowns.
Yeah.
Those are done.
That's what made him.
No, because Cam is still as big as the defensive end.
Ron Rivera has said he has got to develop as a pocket guy.
Once you start having surgeries, you're less likely to run the ball.
Guys, he's getting his shoulder cleaned out. It's not the rotator cuff. He'll be back. I've been there, did that. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, but you weren't a quarterback.
No,
That's why you never hit anybody here.
What?
Cheap shot.
Those are lies you speak right there. But I'm still saying Cam Newton will be able to throw the ball. That arm's going to be just as strong. It's his lower body. That's where him becoming a better quarterback is going to come from. And right now, he's got these 12 weeks where that's all he's going to be able to do. He won't be throwing balls. He'll still be going through the motions of being a quarterback. I'm telling you, it could possibly help him have a better year this coming season.
Ginn was terrible last year. They were hoping for big things. He was awful in Arizona. He had bad years in San Francisco. He had a nice, bright year. They went that Super Bowl season, then he was bad last year.
All right, welcome back. Two NBA junkies joining us. Chris Broussard is back with us, and we're now joined by Colin's co-host on The Herd, Christine Leahy, another NBA junkie. Let's return to the NBA, where LeBron James addressed the growing outrage over NBA stars resting in the regular season, saying the only reason there's a controversy at all is because it's him.
I don't understand why it's become a problem now, because because I started to sit out a couple games?
No, I don't think that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, it is the case.
Well,
it's absolutely the case.
Week before staff and
Come on, man. Come on, man. You guys know the real.
All right, Colin, LeBron is the most influential player in the league. Should he do more to fix this back-to-back scheduling, resting stars?
It's not his job. He's not the commissioner, but he's the most powerful person, including Adam Silver. He can orchestrate trades and deals.
He's the head of the NBA Illuminati.
Yeah, I mean, he runs it. So if he cares about the product, first of all, I think he's wrong. This isn't a LeBron issue. It's multiple stars sitting out Saturday night games and ticking off the broadcast partner. LeBron's being a little martyr here. The world's against me. He also said that Greg Popovich did it. Everybody thought it was brilliant. No, Greg Popovich got hammered by David Stern and fined and a lot of negative press. So LeBron's acting like this is no big deal. LeBron has always been strategic, okay? He and his guys know where the bodies are buried, man. They know how this league is run. They know this is an issue. If you told me LeBron was engineering it and was on the phone, I wouldn't be shocked.
And he is. He is being very strategic. As I told you earlier in the show, I'm down to about 70% approval on LeBron. I'm giving him a point up on this. I've rethought my position.
Really?
He's now at 71% because this is strategic. He's doing this intentionally. LeBron, he wants credit for ending back-to-backs in the NBA.
This is his theory.
Then take credit. Don't deny that it's you.
I know he's doing it though. Again, I think the Saturday night ESPN games for these big stars to sit out and ruin that back-to-back, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
He's forcing the issue. And LeBron is going to be celebrated for ending the back-to-backs.
I talked to someone high up in the league yesterday, and they told me that the owners are kind of onto this, and to what you said, Colin. They know that the players are trying to send the league a message, and that message is we want less games, but we want to get paid the same amount of money. And the issue I have with this is, didn't they just argue in the CBA that they wanted more money from the broadcast deals, and now they got it, and then they don't want to provide the product that they're getting paid for?
Exactly.
And if you don't care about the regular season, and if you're resting, why should I care? And then the ratings are down.
Well, I think, and she's right. This is why college basketball, I think, is going up a little. The message the pros are sending is, we don't really care about these regular season games, and we got $1.4 billion a year from companies saying we're trying to send the message they do matter.
And you know what you haven't heard LeBron say? Anything about the fans.
Yep.
Okay? That's what LeBron can do is set the example. Start playing when you're healthy, number one. Start saying the right things like James Harden said the other day. Come back out and say, look, and you can blame it on the fans. Say, I've kind of rethought my position. The fans, I do understand. They pay a lot of money to come to the game.
Let me give you another layer. When he ends the back-to-back deal, what he's going to say to the fans is, those back-to-back games were terrible. Guys didn't play hard. We weren't fresh. Now that I've ended back-to-back, we're going to give you better products, so this was for the fans.
So how are you going to end the back-to-back?
Exactly. How far out are you going to stretch the season? Or are you saying lower the games?
What's going to...
Then take a pay cut, too.
They're going to come with some solution that will probably include less preseason games, start a few days earlier.
They've already... Next year, they're starting 7 to 10 days earlier, the regular season. They're cutting some preseason games, but you can only lengthen the season so much. I think if they could lengthen the season another week or two and just get rid of road back-to-backs, because that's what these teams are saying. There's a greater chance of injury on road back-to-back games than home ones. So maybe if he can do that.
I've said this. I get it. You need to take a little less energy in your game, take a little bit of rest. Go play 2 minutes. Then take the rest of the game out. But they won't because it'll affect their stats.
Exactly. And I don't blame them for that.
I heard Jalen Rose say this, and I love the idea. Give him straight zeros. You can take the night off, but you get zeros on your stat line. You don't get a DNP, and we'll see how many guys need rest. Because you remember when Kyrie rested with Kevin Love and LeBron? The next night he put up 46 points.
Exactly.
So don't tell me that you needed rest.
And also, we all agree this is strategic.
Yeah, I do. I certainly do.
I think you believe that. So, I mean, at least we're on that page.
I'm not fully on that.
Oh,
I think it's a strategy.
He's not doing willy-nilly.
You think it's just coincidence? All the stars are taking off Saturday night.
I mean, it started with Popovich. Okay, and I've talked to people in the league that feel like it's more on the management and the coaches than it is on the players. I mean, you heard James Harden yesterday say D'Antoni, don't come to me with that. He knows better than to ask me to sit out. Some of the players want to play.
But let's be real. If LeBron says he wants to rest, you think Ty Lue's going to say, no, I want you to
I'll
play,
give you
or vice
that.
versa?
I'll give you that. But I'm just saying, I'm not convinced it's all on the players. I think some of it's on the coaches.
Popovich planted the seed. The players have picked up on it. Now they're driving it. What's fascinating here, NFL guys sitting around watching this and Thursday night football, how much they hate that. And the science on that is terrible. But they can't do this. They don't have this kind of power. Again, this is going to be a feather in LeBron's cap. That's my prediction.
The veterans won't like it if they cut from 82 games.
None of the veterans, none of the retired guys.
You think they think they're soft now? Oh, cut it to 70 and see.
But doesn't that say a lot?
Better product
guys
if it serves.
Retired from the NBA, they all say, I don't understand this mentality of I need rest. They all say, I
they don't need rest. Science says we all need rest.
Welcome back, Chris Broussard, joined by the founder of thebiglead.com, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to college hoops, where Kentucky and UCLA will face off on Friday, and the best matchup of the Sweet 16 should be fun. Kentucky coach John Calipari is looking to bring a second title home to Lexington, while UCLA's Lonzo Ball looks to keep backing up his father's talk with another explosive performance for the Bruins. Jason, who's under more pressure, the coach or the kid?
I know you think Calipari is the great John Calipari, I might add. I know you think he is. But it's actually Lonzo Ball. And his dad has put a lot of pressure on him. This kid needs to make it to the Final Four. The dad's talking about he wants $1 billion shoe deal and a big ballers deal. That has put pressure on Lonzo Ball to justify the hype. And look, I love the kid. The dad is right. But he needs to advance. They beat up Kentucky at Kentucky this year, controlled that game from start to finish. UCLA should be favored in this game. Lonzo Ball's the hottest player. He's got the most, people are tuning in to see him more than any of the guys on Kentucky. The pressure's on Lonzo.
Well, I think the pressure's on Calipari because I think he's in rarefied air. He's in that Saban Coach K class, and they're racking up titles and
contract extensions.
Yeah, I mean, but I think there's pressure on John. Listen, John has mastered the one and done, and he's got one title. He has become an NBA factory, and he's got one title. He doesn't win enough. In the eyes of the people who judge that, he doesn't win enough. Well, I'm telling you, I mean, if you're going to compare him to Saban, well, first of all, I like him, but he's had wins vacated in 2 places. He's always been the salesman.
Following NCAA rules is not on my criteria.
So, I mean, you're asking me who the pressure's on. Lonzo Ball's out of the sport in an hour. Calipari's back getting heat from the media if he gets bounced by UCLA.
Look, I do think the pressure is rising on Lonzo, not because of his dad. I mean, everybody's kind of compartmentalized that and say, okay, crazy LaVar's over here. Lonzo's the truth. His play is starting to put pressure on him because everybody's like, this dude is for real. I mean, LeBron's mad at his dad, but he loves the kid. Shaq's mad at his dad, but he loves ball. So everybody is starting to look for this kid to do something special. That's why the pressure is rising. But I do ultimately agree with you. It's more on Calipari because the pressure on Ball is going to be in the pros. Not that much in college.
I don't know. I disagree, Broussard. First of all, Calipari 5-0 in the Sweet 16 at Kentucky. He's money this round. You give him time to prepare, he's ready. But here's what you forgot, Broussard, about Lonzo Ball. His dad went after LeBron James's kids. You guys know who Calipari's tight with, right? Calipari and LeBron are boys. I will bet this man's hat collection that LeBron sent Calipari a text this week. Hey, good luck, all caps, against Lonzo Ball. Shut him down. Shut this dad up. Get him out of the spotlight. We're all sick of him in the NBA. Curry's sick of him. Barkley. I think there is seriously a hit out on Lonzo Ball from LeBron in the NBA. You watch De'Aaron Fox.
Calipari's been to 6 in Final Fours. He's got 1 title. Which team has the most talent? As good as Lonzo Ball
they're underdogs.
Who has the most talent?
Kentucky's got
way more talent. They got arguably 3 lottery.
They start 3 freshmen.
Lonzo Ball.
Lonzo Ball's a freshman.
They also start 2 seniors.
De'Aaron Fox is going in the lottery. Malik Monk is going in the lottery. And maybe Bam Adebayo is going in the lottery.
Wrap them all 3 together, and they don't match that kid.
Oh, come on.
Wrap them all.
Well, that's a bit much.
I like Ball, but that's not how you do it. On the court, they have more talent. Kentucky, and people are tired. Look, Every year you got the most talent, Calipari. When you gonna win another
I like
title?
UCLA's team. I like
Calipari.
Come on,
Calipari.
You don't like TJ Leaf?
He's
He's a first-round pick. Don't go
By the way,
there.
Calipari,
He's a nice player.
Calipari knows this.
a
Calipari,
nice bench player.
Calipari has told people, I got to in a second. There's a big difference. I've always used DUIs for this. There's a big difference. No, hear me out. Is that the difference between one title and two? No, if in 20 years of being a pro, a guy got a DUI, you would say bad judgment. The second you're an alcoholic. There's a big gap between 1 and 2. You win a title, well, he had Anthony Davis. You win 2, it's like, guy can
They're
coach.
not even favored, though, this week, Colin.
Okay.
They're not favored against
by the way,
UCLA. They're an
why?
underdog. Because all the money's pouring on UCLA.
No, because the feeling is Calipari's not a great coach, he's a recruiter.
Stop.
That follows him everywhere.
Well, I would
You
agree
know
he's not
that.
a great coach, but come on.
The
pressure
feeling
him.
is that Lonzo Ball is something we haven't seen since Magic Johnson.
He's 18.
I get, but that's the
Hey,
feeling.
look,
that's driving.
Kevin Durant
And they beat
went
him
out
at Kentucky.
early in the NCAA tournament. People don't judge you by how early or late you went out in the NCAA tournament.
I'm
They
not
don't
saying
care.
they judge you, but I'm just
I
saying.
mean, 2 of the best players, Markelle Fultz.
So let me ask you
more
this.
NBA players, unbelievably, because I don't agree with them, but more GMs have told me they like Markelle Fultz from Washington better than Ball. Fultz isn't even in the tournament.
If Kentucky had lost to Wichita State, would you acknowledge it would have looked bad?
Of course.
Okay,
No
okay.
doubt
so
about
you
that.
admit that.
But this
So
isn't a
what
bad
you're-
loss if they lose.
Okay,
to
but so what
UCLA.
you're saying, they could have lost that game. So 1 win more than that, and he's all free?
This is the Speak For Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Jason McIntyre. I'm telling you, folks, I know Whitlock was scoffing at my Calipari-LeBron connection. I'm telling you, there's something there. You don't go after an NBA player and expect them not to, since they're NBA Illuminati, come back at you. Calipari and LeBron are tight. I guarantee you that the Kentucky Wildcats win this one for LeBron. De'Aaron Fox, I keep mentioning his name, he will shut down Lonzo Ball. Take that to the bank. I love Kentucky Friday night in a great Sweet 16 game. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you then.